The story begins with a show of the city, and a voiceover tells us that his ex-girlfriend would rather choose a rich sheikh with many wives than an ordinary guy. Afterwards, we see a guy who came out with an advertising banner that promised him to multiply his money several times. In appearance, it was, of course, a complete deception, just like discounts on AliExpress. Even the name was absurd. Let's become rich. The cost of this application was 1,000 V. He, in a normal situation, he would never have bought an application in which he was deceived for money. But that day he drank a lot of drinks with friends and still did it. After which he was recognized as the main idiot of the university. But all this turned out to be no joke, and the main character shows us his bank account. If suddenly your eyes are tired of the number of zeros on the screen, then he will tell you that he has as much as 100 quadrillion won, rich just like Mr. Beast. Immediately clear that when he sees such a huge amount, his view changes if the money is not in the account in his game, but in his real bank account, which he can withdraw at any time. The boy was truly proud of his success because in just 3 months, he managed to get rich by completing simple tasks in the application. Even a kindergarten teacher could handle such tasks, but it seemed to the main character that this money came to him too easily, as if he had not made any effort at all for it. The red-haired boy became a ridiculously rich man. When the boy just got to high school, he immediately met his first love, an incredibly beautiful girl with long red hair and a beautiful face. This lady's name was El and Xia, and there was no other world-class beauty like her. With such a beautiful expression and pleasant voice, no girl simply could compete with her. While our main character tries to call her by name, we are told that the girl was known not only for her beauty, but also for the good deeds she did at school. Seeing our boy, she didn't understand why the hell some guy was running after her, but it turns out that the redhead just wanted to offer the girl a can of soda in such hot weather. It turns out that the girl was so cute that some idiot specifically entered the academy in order to meet her. But in the meantime, our main character asks the girl to drink soda if she is thirsty and runs away like a real coward. While the red-haired boy was remembering all this, the girl tried to stop him, but at that time he was too cowardly to talk to girls. It was easier for him to sit at home and play Dota 2. He begins to reason that if a person has a lot of money, then fear also disappears. But after 5 years, he was lucky enough to meet Elle and Sia again, but only she was already living with her fiancé. The main character was sitting at their house and brought with him just a huge pile of money as if he were fucking Elon Musk. But the lady did not understand what this whole performance was about, what the boy wanted from her. He just sat with the face of a real Sigma, but the girl with red hair asked him to prove to her that he was telling the truth and, in general, maybe this money was fake. But it seems that our main character has already entered the new life of a rich guy and says that if this is the girl's only problem, then he can simply transfer money to her card. But she didn't mean that. She was interested in the reason why the red-haired guy came here with such a huge amount. Did he really need something from them? But the main character only said that he had a small offer for these two. He asked them not to worry because his request will not cause any harm to their health, but the girl with red hair was not going to believe his words so easily. But the boy only points to the huge amount of money that he brought with him, and her husband understands that money is the most powerful weapon that exists in the world. Still, her husband can't stand it, and asks the red-haired boy what kind of proposal he has, but Elle and Siu were simply shocked that he so easily agreed to fulfill his request without even discussing it with her. The main character just smiles like a demon, and thinks that 1 billion cash is a very tempting amount. Some people cannot even earn that much in their entire lives, in which case now he will tell them a way to get the entire amount as quickly as possible. The husband went outside and calmly sipped a soda, when suddenly an SMS came to his phone containing a photo of his wife. He thought that it didn't matter to him what rich family he was from, but he would never give up his wife because he loved him. Now he has found a real rival for himself, and considers the main character a small child, but he will show nothing of what happens when children take toys that do not belong to them. In the next frame, we are shown how the red-haired boy and his school sweetheart were relaxing at sea, and the main character was sending photographs to her husband. Noticing this, the lady turns and with a dissatisfied face asks the boy if maybe he wants to say something. But in fact, the guy with red hair just liked to watch the girl walk along the shore. But she was surprised that such a beautiful place could exist, which was very strange that there were absolutely no tourists here. It turns out that this is the personal island of our main character, on which he is not going to allow tourists, only this beautiful lady, just like Mr. Beast's personal island. She just turns around and continues to walk along the beach while thinking who our boy really is. Maybe he found out that he is the son of the head of some cool company or an oil tycoon. But the guy says that everything is actually much simpler than she might think, and talks about a lottery in America where you can win huge sums. Suddenly, she remembers the popular TV show Mega Millions, and was surprised that the main character managed to win with them. But he is not going to reveal all his trump cards and says that the girl is close to the truth. It will be much easier for her to think that he was just lucky. It's still hard for the lady to believe that they are alone on this island, but the main character reassures her by saying that there are only staff here. But they are all women, so she can rest peacefully. Suddenly, the main character takes the girl in his arms and frightens her terribly. She cannot understand where the boy is taking her. But they had an agreement that they would relax on this island together for a whole week. Leisha can't understand why the hell this idiot got up to Flash's speed and runs into the water, but suddenly he just throws her into the sea and laughs like a real Sigma. With a satisfied smile, he asks his friend that this sea is quite refreshing. But she was clearly not happy about such a sudden fall. Is that really all he wants to tell her after throwing her into the water? The main character tries to convince the girl that they can't do all sorts of crazy things when they are in Seoul, but didn't she want to throw herself into this incredibly clear water as soon as she saw it? Still, she believed in his words. He was absolutely right, because she felt like she was in a cage while she was in the city, and here the girl can feel freedom. But only after such a clear sea. Her hair and dress were wet, and the boy thought that she shouldn't get sick on the island that was bought for a couple of tens of billions. Leisha cannot understand why this idiot is looking at her so carefully, but the main character was determined and promised in the future he would make her his first wife. She still couldn't understand what the hell was happening to the main character because his gaze was too serious, when suddenly he simply waved his hand and scared her even more. The girl screamed in fear even more than before, but it turns out that the boy just wanted to remove the starfish that was stuck to her hair. The guy with red hair couldn't understand why the girl was so scared, because he just wanted to take off the starfish. Did she really think that he would do something strange? He comes as close to her as possible and asks if maybe Elle and Xia want the main character to do strange things. She was clearly at a loss and did not understand what the boy was trying to achieve, but he simply said that it was time for them to return. The girl needed to quickly dry her hair so as not to catch a cold, after which they would spend dinner on this island. The action takes place during lunchtime, and the lady was shocked when she saw a real lobster, but only for the main character this is now an everyday thing. Leisha asked the guy not to talk to her like a hillbilly. She was just surprised, but to be honest, she really couldn't afford that. While drinking grape juice, the main character says that they are much cheaper than the girl thinks. There are simply a huge number of them on this island, which is why they are sold cheaply. Leisha didn't understand his behavior. There were only seafood delicacies on the table, but the guy still said that they were cheap, to be honest. The guy himself doesn't know the price, so he doesn't buy them personally. But this dinner cost about $50. While dinner continued, the girl decided to ask him a question that had been bothering her for a long time. Why did the main character decide to go to dinner on this island with her? The guy was incredibly handsome and terribly rich, so he could invite a girl here who would be more beautiful than her. The guy with red hair turns out to be a real romantic, and says that he would not be able to find a girl more beautiful than Elle and Xia, thereby making her surprised. She doesn't understand what he wants to say, but the boy repeats that there is no more beautiful girl in the world than his Nuna. But it seems to her that he is just laughing at her, and she asked a very serious question. Suddenly, he decides to admit that, in fact, he is his first love, and reminds her of the guy who constantly followed her in high school and bought soda. She simply cannot believe that from that very moment the guy never stopped loving her, after which an awkward silence ensues. Realizing that the situation has become too tense, Elle and Xia ask for forgiveness from the main character, but she is terribly tired and would like to go and rest. The actions are transferred to her room on this island. The girl was sitting on the bed and trying to understand what this strange feeling was, as if she was worried. She remembers her husband and understands that she should not have agreed to the bet. Now she is confused in her feelings. We are shown memories when the main character came to their home. He demanded to return the entire amount of money back. The red-haired greenhouse wanted to invite the girl to his personal island in order to spend a week with her there. They both howled in shock and were not going to trust the guy so easily. Maybe he was just a deceiver who was lying about his personal island. But the main character tries to pretend to be a real angel and says that his island is quite real and he wants to take the girl there. The lady with red hair clearly didn't like this idea because she's not going to leave her husband, but the guy wants to say something else. Leisha will completely decide what to do on this island. She can just sit in a hotel for a week or swim in the sea even if she wants. She can ignore the main character while going about her business. But her husband clearly did not like this proposal, even if this mysterious island really exists. The guy is the only person who knows about its location, and there is no guarantee that his wife will be able to return. In such cases, the red-haired guy decides to add one more condition. If suddenly he does not return Nunu within a week or does something strange, then he will pay twice the original amount. Suddenly they were both speechless because the main character had just named the amount of $2 billion that he would pay for the girl to go on vacation on the island. Lying on his bed, the main character realizes that he really wants to play cards. He even thinks about playing poker with a girl and paying twice as much money for it. Meanwhile, Elle and Sia were sleeping peacefully in their room when suddenly a strange sound woke her up. It turned out to be our main character who wanted to quickly play a game of cards, but she was too frightened by such a sudden appearance. Leisha doesn't understand why the hell he decided to play cards with her, because they didn't agree on this. But it doesn't matter to the main character. He's ready to pay even $20 billion but still play cards with the girl. The boy thinks that this game was going to happen anyway, and the girl should have understood this when she signed the contract, but she says that she didn't even think about it. But the guy didn't care at all what she said. He just wanted to play poker, so he already started dealing out cards. The boy cannot understand why the girl does not like to play cards. In fact, she is deceiving him because she is a poker professional. Meanwhile, she just can't understand what the hell is going on. She seemed to have gone crazy but still wanted to play poker with the main character. Realizing that he still managed to find a worthy opponent, the main character finishes distributing cards and now they are ready to start playing poker. In surprise, the lady covers her face with her hands because she realized that the main character is a real pro of this game. She has never seen such players in her life. The main character's face was too happy, and with a smile, he tells the girl that the time has come for him to start the first round of poker. But there was only fear on her face. She couldn't believe that in front of her was such an experienced poker player, and that's why she was scared. Her fears were confirmed a few seconds after the start of the round because the girl instantly lost a huge amount of money. We are shown a view from the side of the house. From it came the scream of a man who had just lost a large amount of money. It turns out that all this was just a dream that she had, but she couldn't understand why the hell she was having such strange dreams. Meanwhile, our main character, like a real housewife, stood in the kitchen and prepared breakfast for his queen. Leisha also comes into the kitchen and he is surprised that she woke up so early. Let her quickly sit down at the table, they will have breakfast. Our boy prepared rice with shellfish after they started eating. The main character decides to ask her about the nightmare she had, but she didn't understand what he was talking about. But he explains to her that in her dream, the girl screamed for a long time, as if she saw a ghost, and he was worried that she would have nightmares. But Elle and Shah do not want to talk about their dream, and answer the question with a question what the main character is going to do for the remaining few days. Of course, he didn't have a plan for a few days in advance, but since today the weather was so good, he was going to go to the sea. But the lady meant something completely different. The main character is now an incredibly rich man, and he must understand how he will manage his money. She thought that the boy would leave the university and manage his life as he wanted, but he was going to return this semester. Suddenly he realizes that he had completely forgotten that tomorrow is the last day to apply for reinstatement at the university. But the girl did not understand why he was so scared. The action moves to the sea while they were both in the water. The main character was surprised that the girl was wearing a diver's outfit. Was she really going to some kind of competition? But in fact, she just didn't want to look stupid in front of the boy. That's why she put on such a suit, and it would be better for him not to forget that she was here because of a bet for money. But the red-haired boy thinks that she misunderstood everything that is happening here. In any case, the main character will emerge victorious as soon as they return to Korean territory. Their argument was that the girl would go with him to this island and spend time with him of her own free will, but Elle and Sia asks the boy not to change the rules. Digging up and breaking sandcastles is a very mean trick. While the lady was saying that the main character was a real swindler, he just looked at her and realized that at the end of this journey, he would be able to marry this girl. Suddenly, he still tells her that he will have to return back to Seoul on very important matters, and therefore the girl will have to stay here alone. But she didn't care at all because the contract under which she remains here will end in a week anyway, so he can go wherever he wants. The boy thought that Elle and Sia were incredibly cutely angry. She looked like a hissing kitten. Because of this, he wanted to make her his wife, because now his dream is happening in reality and not in fragments of memories from the past. Her husband, meanwhile, looked out the window and remembered the contract. The conditions for receiving a cash prize are simple. He just has to bring Nunu to this place. If he succeeds, he will immediately transfer $1 billion to Elle and Sia's personal account. But if the girl with red hair doesn't come on her own, then of course no one will receive any money. Meanwhile, our main character continues to show her husband photographs of them relaxing on his personal island, and the main character promised that he will do everything possible to win the girl's heart for himself. And the girl still continued to walk along the beach all alone, enjoying the beautiful view of the sea. For her, it was real madness because she was completely alone on such a beautiful island. She even began to wonder if she had ever had such incredible freedom as now. It seems these are thoughts from the category of those that Aaron himself thought about Jaeger. She remembers the red-haired boy who invited her to stay with her forever, and now she thought that she was doing wrong towards her husband, who is now in Seoul. And also, Elle and Sha remember her strange dream in which the main character was going to play cards with her, after which she began to go hysterical. The lady simply doesn't understand what's happening to her now because she loves her husband very much, but at the same time, she really likes spending time on a beautiful island on which there are absolutely no people. After which the action moves to a strange bald guy who greets a guy with red hair. He thinks that they have spent too much time here already, and so he offers to go and have some drinks, but the bald dude refuses his request. He thinks that the guys are too boring, and meanwhile our main character is standing nearby and looking somewhere into the distance. The whole company looks back at him and thinks that the guy is behaving too strangely because he was just looking at one point and didn't move. All the same, this eccentric decides to find out from his friends about our strange main character. Maybe at least they know what kind of guy he is and what's happening to him. But they, just like him, simply looked at him, not understanding what to do with him. The action moves to the next day. Lisha just lay on her bed and read a book late in the evening. Suddenly the main character returned and, having informed her about this, asked permission to go into the room. But he couldn't understand why the girl was acting so strange, because she spent the whole day completely alone on an empty island. Was she really not happy to see him? But the lady decides to change the subject, saying that the main character is most likely terribly tired. It would be better for him to quickly have dinner and go to bed. But suddenly the boy says that the girl is talking some kind of nonsense. He had a very hard day, and he returned home in the middle of the night, and therefore he is going to play cards instead of sleeping. But the girl with red hair clearly does not like this idea. Of course, the guy was just joking with her and was going to watch a series on Netflix, and the lady was scared as if he was really going to play poker with her and take away the last of her money. But for some reason, in the next frame we again see the girl screaming in horror. Has the guy really decided to play cards with her that she hates so much? But no. It's just that our main character somehow magically managed to create a huge screen that stands right in the middle of the sea. But how he managed to do this will remain a mystery. In fact, he just has a lot of money. While the lady was trying to understand what the hell was going on here, the main character said that after he saw how unusual the girl was, he decided to do something equally unusual on his personal island. And that's how a TV appeared that hangs in the middle of the sea. But for some reason, the lady simply could not take her eyes off what the boy did for her. It seemed that until that moment, no one had ever done such things for her, and now she considers herself special. The main character still cannot understand why the lady is still standing, because the film is about to start soon, so she can take a comfortable place on the sun lounger and enjoy watching a Netflix film. The boy already thought that it would be a very funny film, but the lady was lost in her thoughts. She thought that somehow she could offend the main character, and she didn't want to do this because he was trying for her sake. While he was enthusiastically watching the film, she looked at him with enthusiasm, realizing that sitting in front of her was the richest man she had ever met in her life, but she did not see anything bad in him that he would want to do something bad to her. She even remembers what he looked like in the past. Then the boy was too insecure and tried to attract her attention by buying soda. It seems he worked well on his style because now they are vacationing on his private island. So they spent their second day on the island, and although the lady thought that everything could go really badly, nothing bad happened. They just continued to watch the movie all night. The main character also thought all this time that the time spent with Nuna felt different, despite the fact that he was terribly rich. He thought that the girl liked to spend time with him. The next day, they went for a walk around his island. The main character understood perfectly well that even a whole week would not be enough to show his beloved all the beauty of this forest, so he organized a themed walk to show as many sights as possible. And they decide to show us a view of the island from afar, and the boy with red hair says that this is exactly how their morning of the third day began. He was going to meet a girl near the house. The guy wanted to know if she slept well, but he immediately closed his mouth after seeing how beautiful the girl was. It was a pleasant surprise for him that she wore the outfit he recommended for her. It simply suited her incredibly, but she just makes a dissatisfied face and says that she put on this outfit because everything else in her wardrobe is too uncomfortable, so she had to put on this more or less comfortable suit. But in response, he just smiles and says that he didn't mean to say anything bad about her. He just really liked her new outfit, and that's why he recommended that she wear it. The main character even decides to make a compliment, because in such an outfit the lady looked like a real model, and Korea could have lost an incredible talent at a fashion show. But it's clear that the girl doesn't like it when the guy says that. She decides to change the subject and asks where they will go today. The main character reminds that today they will spend time on the beach, so she better take sunscreen, and the lady, it turns out, completely forgot about it because she was in uncomfortable swimsuits all the time. She asked that the main character wait for her a little. The girl wanted to return to her room, saying that she forgot something there, but when he tried to stop her, she didn't even turn around and left. The boy promised that he would be the only one who would always be by her side, and asked her not to think about unnecessary thoughts and go for a walk with him. But suddenly she got hysterical again and starts screaming for the boy to wait for her for now. Anyway, he won't be able to do everything she wants for him. But the guy in response simply grabbed her hand, saying that she couldn't stay in the open sun for such a long time. They couldn't allow direct exposure to the sun's rays, so they needed to leave quickly. It turns out that the main character had some kind of plan all this time. He carefully observed the girl's behavior and tried to make her feel comfortable on his personal island. This whole plan was made so that she would fall in love with him and he could not marry her, get married. Meanwhile, the action moves to Korea to the husband of that lady, who was just sitting in her apartment and drinking drinks. The thought that he would soon be able to quit his job because he would have 1 billion in his account still did not leave his head. He was I wanted to get money and become the second Elon Musk. But just the thought that his wife was not at home now, but with some guy on his personal island, did not give him peace. Of course, it's good that he will soon be given 1 billion BHE, but now he had to drink too many drinks in order to calm his nerves. So also those photos that he sent when they were vacationing at the seaside, of course he understood that his wife loved him. But the thought that she could leave him and go to a rich guy was simply terrible. This damn red-haired guy constantly sent him photos literally every day, as if specifically to annoy him. It seemed like he was writing in his diary or trying to boast that he could win the heart of his wife. In addition, the messages became worse and worse each time, and the guy understood perfectly well that the main character was taking measures to take her for himself. Damn it, at this rate he'll just go crazy. The main character was a damn manipulator who tried to kill his self-confidence, and it seems he managed to do it. Meanwhile, the action moves to the beach and the main character decided to help the lady a little and smeared her with sun cream so that her skin did not burn. Still, she agreed, and the main character helps her not to turn into a damn kebab in this terribly hot sun. It was immediately obvious that the lady was constantly in the city and had not gone on vacation for a long time because her shoulders were under terrible tension. He only asked the girl to relax because now she is on the beach where she can calmly relax from the bustle of the city. But he had a completely different plan in his mind. But Elle and Shia did not understand what the main character was talking about because she was not at all worried about the bustle of the city. Perhaps he was deliberately trying to convince her that she was tired so that she would not return to the city again. He is pleased to hear that the lady is not tired at all, but still she also has the right to rest, so let her do it right on his personal island. She was surprised that he was telling her such things, but he found justification for his words. She still felt somehow strange and did not want to linger here for long, but she perfectly remembered the moment when Elle and Saya were left alone on this island, and she felt very calm. But the main character tried to explain to her that in this place the sun shines especially strongly. If suddenly the lady applies sun cream incorrectly, her skin will simply turn into a fried kebab and she will not be able to do anything about it. It was for this occasion that the boy decided to take care of her and brought a special sun cream that protects even the most sensitive skin. Still, the strange feeling passes and the lady no longer thinks that the main character is going to do something bad because he really took care of her all the time while they were on this island. After the red-haired man finished applying the cream, he thought that he should continue and apply it to everything else. But the lady did not like this idea, and she refused his help. Of course, the guy was not going to listen to the order of some woman there and warned that she was about to get a little cold, after which he poured all the cream that remained in the jar on her. Of course, it was very unpleasant. But she still didn't make a sound and just continued to lie in the sun, but at the same time she had a strange feeling of cold, as if a whole bucket of cold water had just been poured on her. The boy understood perfectly well that his joke was not very successful, because now the girl was terribly cold even under such a scorching sun, so he decides to offer her tea to warm up. It turns out that tea is a great way to warm up, and the guy could make simply amazing tea. She didn't understand what he was adding to it, but the taste was simply incredible. There was even some strange feeling as if she were in an old cozy house near the fireplace, but at the same time, he felt simply terrible guilt before his husband, because she was now far from him on a private island, and at the same time the red-haired boy was preparing tea for her. Afterwards, the lady begins to cry, and the guy cannot understand why tears suddenly flowed from her eyes. Maybe the tea was too hot. But it seems that this idiot will never be able to understand the real reason why she is crying. but she simply denies everything that the main character says and says that it is beyond what she could handle. And while we are watching how these two solve problems, we finish the video, you can like the video, and then the next part will come out faster.